Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 370, let's talk about Reveka Wizard Savant. Now, believe it or not, this is what a 30-cent reserve list card looks like. That's right, he is on the reserve list because when they drew that line, he fell into the category. It's not like we would want him now, even if we could have him. Anyway, what is he dreaming of a dragon? I don't know. Anyway, he's a legend, therefore we got to do it. By the way, he's a wizard. Just clarification. Not that this is a wizard tribal deck or anything, but I've got a few. Now, it takes a lot to make this good. So he's a 0/1 for 4 mana. Ooh. And he taps to deal 2 damage to a creature or a player, which probably now says any target, and does not untap during your next untap step. So we have got to find ways to make him decent. I dare say good. And in doing that, we're going to make a lot of other cards good. I don't know. I don't know. But let's go. So first and foremost, the only 2 forms of mana ramp I have in here, it's not a real high cost CMC deck. I can't. It's on tapped out. I can't remember what it is, but I can tell you that there's only like 37 decks on EDH Rec with Ravika, so he's not real popular, obviously. But the only 2 ramp is Soul Ring and, of course, a High Tide. Now, he taps to deal damage, so naturally, that kind of led me in a certain direction. It led me down the Tim path. The blue creatures that tap to do a point of damage. So, we got the Prodigal Sorcerer. Little background here, just in case y'all don't know. This is the original art for Prodigal Sorcerer. You hear everybody calling Tim because of the Monty Python movie, Tim the Sorcerer. Anyway, shortly after Tim, they got us an Ice Age version, his Cold brother, which essentially does the same thing. The Sokata Firewalker is a little better, but it is a 0/1, and it does require a second specific blue pip. Now, in this deck, I don't. Well, first off, I don't know why I chose red sleeves for this deck when I started building it. God knows how long ago. I don't know. But I don't know why that came to my mind now. Tempest gave us yet another one, except this time it's a merfolk. Legacy gave us one that's now a fairy and flies. Of course, you know, in the olden days, we had the big 5 mana pirate ship. Yeah. And then, of course, we had Malkor that does it, and Fledgling Malkor that's a little version of it. So those are our tap to deal damage creatures. So that's where I instantly knew I wanted to go with it. It's like, okay, creatures are going to tap to deal damage. Well, now I got to make them good. So I was like, well, first and foremost, if they're going to tap to deal damage, I want them to kill the creatures that they're pinging. So Gorgon's Head, Gorgon's Flail, and Basilisk Collar. Picked up that Basilisk Collar today. Thank you to Q's Gamings in Dexter, Missouri, by the way. It was a great card. And that way, those are recursive because, obviously if the creature dies, the equipment just lays around for somebody else to pick up. So whatever we're pinging is dying. Now, Thornbite Staff is our other equipment that I kind of stumbled upon. It actually turns a creature into a plinker, but that's kind of not why it's in there. It's that second line. And whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, untap this creature. So there's a good chance if you've got one of your Death Touch enablers equipped and the Thornbite Staff, you can clear the board and keep it perpetually cleared at all times. Now, don't worry. It ain't going to be forever. The table's going to wise up and kill some part of that combo. Pretty sure. The shaman line doesn't matter here. Now, I've got so many piles for this deck. Oh my gosh, I have no clue how to do this. So let's talk about untapping our general. Free from the real, it'll actually, I mean, it works on any of our creatures because they all have some kind of tap ability, right? So even if, we can't play the commander because we've died so many times as whatever, but we can still do this and spend a blue mana and untap it and tap it for damage and kill something and da 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 da. So that's the freed from the real. Pimim's aura is very, very similar. And Crab Umbra does it, albeit a little more expensive, and it has the totem armor kicker on it. Now, so we've got creatures that tap for damage and then ways to untap them, but I was like, you know what? I just don't. Well, card draw it really, really bothered me because we only got like 18 creatures in the entire deck. So I was like, well, Archivist with Freed from the Real on it's pretty sick. Or all those untap cards. I'd run across the Majorite Stone, which, by the way, if you know a Krenko player, don't tell them this exists. Or the 1,000-Year Elixir. I'm also running the Dramatic Reversal to just untap the whole team at once. But the other tapping creature is Young Teferi. Yes, this is Urza Saga back when Teferi was a very disruptive student. And it's really kind of neat, especially if you manage to get the, a repeatable untap on it. It's kind of neat. A lot of people just forget it's out there. Now, also the original Urtai would be amazing. The only Urtai I have is captaining his own deck somewhere. Y'all may have seen it. I don't remember. So, a lot of cards could go in here. But let's look. So, naturally, I was like, well, we've got creatures that tap and enchantments to go on them. It almost, I mean, I had to draw a real fine line here not to put Rain, the Chancellor, in here because she's got to have her own deck, and I didn't want to use up too much blue enchantment equity here, but I'm pretty sure I did. So, enchantment alteration is going to let you move one of those enchantments to another one because they're going to try to kill it because everybody loves to kill enchanted creatures because you get the value out of it. So if you can respond with, I'll just alter that. Let's see if I can get rid of that glare. What am I doing with my life? Enchantment alter it over to one of your other creatures, or if you have to put it on something, and if you have to put it on the Archivist to draw into something or whatever. We've also got the R-Graft, which is it's kind of a same thing, but you gain control of that enchantment. So this also works for those pesky white enchantments that is going to turn it into a rock or can't tap or whatever. You can just move it to one of their creatures. Then of course I have Fumble. Love Fumble. I mean, it was made for Reveka, right? So if it's about to die, you're just going to return the creature to its owner's hand, or to your hand, and then you're going to gain control of all auras and equipment that were attached to it, and then you get to attach them to somewhere else. It also works on, enemy stuff. That's what it was meant for. Hey, bruh, is that a Sophie out there? I'll take that sword. So now, I'm like, okay, so we need some more enchantments. Well, Hermetic Study and Sonic Gift pretty much do the same thing for those creatures that don't have it. So naturally, if I put those in there, I had to put the Horseshoe Crab because it kind of builds itself, you know, and you just. I also wanted to put Fledgling Osprey. Yes, I know what you're thinking. It's Fledgling Osprey. Now, when this card was in Standard, and I know that dates me and shows my age, this was amazing because on turn one, you played Fledgling Osprey. Now, keep in mind, we're going way, way back before Commander. This was a 60 card format, and you played 4. So you played a turn 1 Osprey. Turn 2, you enchanted it with to a Sigil of Sleep, and they could never play a creature unless they could go creature, creature. Yeah, it's pretty good. It also works with the enchantment theme. You know, the enchantment's decent on other stuff too. The Let's see, I have another wizard here. I just happened the Trinket Mage because the Trinket Mage goes and gets so much stuff. Want to say it's 5 cards, 5 artifacts that have 1 drops. Let's see, Body Double and Clone are just 2 more creatures because let's face it, we need creatures. The Iridescent Drake is going to get one of those enchantments they've destroyed back onto it so you can move it to one of your other creatures with one of your moving cards. Or if you've already used those, you can use the Crown of Ages to repeatably switch it. Now, this only does from one creature to another, so you cannot, like, we are running things like Annex to steal a land, mainly because, you know, there are some problem lands out there, and I mean, we can move it with our other thing, but not with our crown. But now, with the crown, that also moves things like your control magic that you're going to cast, and, you know, the more expensive mind control, same card, just 1 more mana, probably closer to the right cost anyway. Let's see what else we got here. Ophidian Eye is, yeah, I apologize. This is in no particular order. This is just however it's popping in my head. Ophidian Eye, get you to draw a card. I love the cards that say deal damage. It doesn't use the word combat, so your little plinker is going to keep drawing you some cards, And our puppy here from Battle Bond, come on now. The cards stack up, and I'm still working on exactly what I need to do to. Anyway, our puppy here, every time you cast a spell during your turn, you get to untap a creature, which is almost turning your little sorcerers into machine guns. Because we have a lot of cheap stuff. Now, I didn't go the whole free spell route with it. I mean, you could totally do that, but this is a 1 in 99 chance, you know. Let's see. Have Curiosity that's pretty much going to do the same thing. Draw you some cards. Charisma. Why has this card only been... Is this card on the list and I don't know it? I guess... I don't know if the list went up to Mercadian Mask. I don't know. I know it went to Saga Block. Don't know. I know that Mercadian Mask is the only time this card's ever been printed. By the way, that's Gerard there looking, you know, like a total badass. And other creature, why not? The Thrangolem. Yeah, it's 5 mana for a 3/3, but he gets really upset when he gets an enchantment on him. Maybe that enchantment is vanishing. Probably not. It may be. I've used vanishing over the years, offensively and defensively, because you can. Yeah. You're going to swing at me with that creature? Well, in that case, phase it out. Or, oh, you're going to board wipe? You know, I've got it on my own, dude. Phase it out. Let's see. Even some of our removal is enchant creature based, yes, I know there are better or newer versions of this card. Keep in mind, I tried to go as much white border as I possibly could with this deck because that's how I roll. Speaking of white border, Hurkyl's Recall's in there just because. Well, that's it, just because. A little bit of defense. I guess let's look at some removal-ish kind of things. If you want to count Counterspell, Negate, and Rewind as removal, that's probably just to save your dudes, to save your little gimmick. Dismiss into Dream. I really, really like this. This is... the only downside is a dang 7 mana. Now, it does turn all opponent's creatures into ping, they die, even if you don't have the death touch thing. So, well, actually, they have to sacrifice it, so even the indestructible things will matter here. Oh, yeah, I guess that does work, because the death touch won't worry about an indestructible creature. But this will, when you ping a Blightsteel Colossus, they will have to sacrifice it. Ooh, that'll put somebody in a bad mood, won't it? Of course, we've got Claustrophobia as a spot removal sleep, just to. It's kind of a proactive fog, I guess. Reigns of Power, sure, you can have my dudes in a just a terrific worst case scenario. You can have my dudes, and I'll take your dudes. Now, it could very possibly, since this is a multiplayer game, Reigns of Power is amazing because you can give your wizards to somebody who has a big enough force to use them to block the army that is coming at you. Because it's an instant. I love it. I'm running Ether Gale because y'all know how I feel about the Rift. Now, Estrid's Invocation is pretty neat. I really like this card. I don't know why I haven't used it in any of the decks from C18, but man, I really like it because it's a copy enchantment this is to copy enchantment what Vesuvan Doppelganger is to clone. That's it. You get the option of changing it. That's cool. It's running the Jordan card, the fadeaway. So this kind of protects you from the Weenie Horde. It's more of a one-shot. If you want a more permanent fix, we have Pendril Mist. By the way, I found 12 of these jokers in like one of my old extra boxes. I need to go through them jokers again. Oh my gosh. Let's look at some card draw, because I was really, really worried about some card draw, and that looks like the only category left. Well, besides our, Rogue's Passage and the Moonring Island. I really like the island. I don't know. I like it, but this may not be the deck for it now that I think about it. We may just be better off with a regular old basic island, because what value does knowing the top card of any library have to us? I don't know. Something to think about. Our card draw lands, of course, the Cycle, the Memorial, because this, it's a blue mana, and late game, it can draw you 2 cards if you just gots to have it. And then, of course, the Blind Cataract, same way. Now, as far as card draw, I did do mana for cards. I went 4, 5, and 6. Concentrate for 4 mana, 4 for 3. Tidings at 5 for 4. And then Opportunity at 6 for 4, but it's an instant. So, of course, I have the impulse for the early stuff to try to, this... The Ever-Watching Threshold is kind of neat. By the way, Propaganda would be an amazing card in this deck as well. I need to buy like 1,000 Propagandas, I guess. But our last card is, of course, the ultimate card drawer in Mystic Remora. A card that did not get its card punched for a reprint in the UMA. Everybody excited about UMA? I mean, there's good and there's bad, but there's a lot of stuff in it. I'm just tickled that a lot of that stuff's getting reprints so that we can have access to it, because a lot of those cards, the other formats have kind of sucked up and dried up the supply of, and made it really expensive for us if we want them. But anyway, that's not what I do. I build decks. But that's what I have got for Ravika. He's been a long time being built. I got that Basilisk collar today, and that was the last card I really knew that I had to have for it. Yeah, I could probably use another 15 more Basilisk collars, but work took me out of state today, and I was able to stop by a shop, and they had a Basilisk collar, so it just happened to be pretty and shiny. Well, that's what I've got. I want to thank y'all for watching. I want to thank my patrons for supporting me. Thank y'all very much. And I do want to thank the EDH Rec guys out there. They are amazing, guys and gals. I tend to use guys as just a generic term, but anyway. I appreciate y'all. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.